time is of the essence, but things are going to change. Things are changing. I want to introduce LJ, who is currently in Ecuador, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And can you just say hi and just tell people where you are and when you got there?
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Gems. Wherever you are, hope you get a chance to take a breath and exhale. I'm LJ, as Kim mentioned, currently in Cuenca, Ecuador, with my son, and we are exploring what life is like to live here on a more long-term basis and the residency options, and go from there.
And LJ has been scouting places as well, and we'll hear more about that
Yes.
in a minute. But we're going to pass it over to Jackie. She's going to let us know where she is and how long she's been there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie, and I am in Panama. I've been here for 2.5 months with my family of 10.
2.5 months, y'all. So we are talking to people who have the latest and greatest information as it relates to leaving this country and going to countries like Panama and Ecuador and even Mexico. You know, for me, one of the reasons that we are putting this live together tonight is because on October 25th, we are hosting what we're calling a Brunch and Learn workshop. And it's all about if we can move abroad, rather temporarily or permanently, you can too. And what I am finding out as someone who consults with people, right? A lot of y'all know I consult with people who are looking for Mexican residency and want help through the process. But what I'm hearing is people want options, right? So maybe in addition to Mexican residency, they want Panamanian residency. They want residency in Ecuador. And so instead of having one-on-one sessions without being able to give as many options as possible, we decided to open up the workshop to give you 4 experts for the price of 1 consultation. And so hopefully the information that we provide during the Brunch and Learn series will spark additional passions for you, right? Maybe residency in Mexico. You may need to do more things, but you can get residency in Panama quicker because listen, the urgency is here. The urgency is now. We're not going to sugarcoat it. And we're going to quickly just get on into the topic that both of you are relatively new to the migration space, right? Within the last couple of months, you both have picked up and said, vamos. And so, you know, simply, why did you decide now is the time?
Well, I'll go. For me, I'm a disabled veteran, retired military, mom to a neurodivergent son who's autistic, an amazing young Black man. And the energy and the tides and the anxiety level that we started experiencing, you know, especially in 2024, entering 2025, especially after November, which, as I mentioned to you, Kim, is almost close to a year to the date when we found you on the tube that is you. And I knew that it was safety and peace of mind, quality of life is key for me. It's key for my son. And although I'm part of also a sandwich generation where I have my mom, a parent that I'm also responsible and care for, we saw the tides and we realized in order to afford my son the quality of life where he can thrive and nourish and feel safe in a welcoming environment, we needed to go.
I just had a conversation with a family member a couple days ago, and I said, anyone who is a mother of a young Black child living in the United States right now, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they're sleeping at night with their children being away at college. in cities that are being taken over. Like, I don't know how they do it, because I don't think I would be able to do it. Like, I would be that mother that would be joined at the hip everywhere he went or she went, because of the fear, just understanding the risks that are out there. And so I applaud you, LJ, for not only realizing the risk, but taking action and making sure that we used to have this tagline, he is not a suspect, when I worked at Essence. And so you are ensuring that your beautiful son, who is autistic, which can be in and of itself problematic, right? If he ever had to encounter law enforcement. And so I just want to commend you for not only doing it, but doing it in warp speed, right? Doing it in record time. And so these are the type of things that people who are listening, I want you to hear, that it's doable. It is doable. Think about what life looks like someplace else, especially if we have children. And so thank you for sharing, the personal part of your journey, because it's going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference in someone's life. And so moving on, Miss Jackie with the family of 10, who also moved abroad in pretty record time. Can you share, like, why now for you? Why was 2025 the time for you to just go ahead and say bye to the US?
So 2025 really wasn't our number. We really didn't have a timeline. We just knew that it was time to go. We started off with just, my husband saying he wanted to retire early, been working since he was probably 14 years old. And then it just went to kind of exploded a little bit, where my children were like, well, I'm not staying here. I'm going with you all. So we had to make plans and figure out a place that would be good for our grandchildren, because we knew that the culture shock would be more, it would hurt them more than it would harm us. So we thought about it, and the urgency came when my grandson, my oldest grandson, he was getting ready to start high school. And it just hit home, because my daughter, she homeschooled the younger children. So, them not being in school didn't really bother us as much. But the oldest one was in school. I couldn't imagine him going to high school. It just gets worse and worse. They're in elementary school. It's not as bad, but it's still bad things happening. Middle school, bad things are happening, but not as bad. But high school, it hit home that my grandson, my 14-year-old, who I call my angel, he's no longer a little boy to them anymore. He's a threat now.
Yes.
He's a young Black boy with locks. Well, he just cut them off, but he's a young Black boy who has locks, and they look at him as a threat. And in my family of 10, it's only three females, me, my daughter, and my granddaughter. Everybody else is Black men. And it's just getting worse and worse every single day, especially for our Black men. And it's scary. It's very scary to see the collapse of America. And I don't know if everyone else sees it around us, but I see the signs, and my family just has to go, and we didn't know it all. We're going to figure it out along the way, but we're here in Panama and we're figuring it out.
And when I heard your story, Jackie, Jackie's been part of the fam since 2024. So I remember the early conversations and the work that you had to put in, getting everyone's passport and getting everyone situated, and not knowing exactly when you were going to make a move, but you knew that you had to make a move, right? In order to protect your family. And so I really, again, I think people are starting to get it a little bit more now. But I also believe that they don't realize how things can change, right? How laws can change, how visa requirements can change, how financial requirements can change. And while you may be stuck in a planning mode, right? You may be planning for something that exists today that may not exist tomorrow. And so again, again, this is the urgency that we speak of, that we want people to really, really not take for granted, because things are changing and
Yes.
they're changing quickly. And again, I commend you having 7 boys, including your husband, right? And making sure that they're not just living in a state of anxiety, but they are thriving, girl. I see y'all up on the rooftop pool hanging out. And I see the smiles. So I definitely, once again, commend you for, as we say on this channel, being about that action.
Right.
And I'll just quickly, share a couple sentences about my story as someone who has been seeing the writing on the wall for this country for a while. Specifically, what made me start thinking about residency, legal residency someplace else, was when I noticed that every single day we were being bombarded with a certain person, right? With a certain person every single day was breaking news story, causing chaos and confusion. And as someone who lived in DC, who started off studying politics, something wasn't right. Something was off. Something was different. And then also seeing how the media started responding to him. And I was like, I'm not liking this energy. So instead of me trying to convince other people and wait for other people to get their ducks in a row and want to make a move, because of course I was the conspiracy theorist, right? I said, you know what, let me go scout. And that's exactly what I did. I fell in love with specifically Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And I was like, you know something? Things are not going to get easier. Let me get started. And that's kind of my story. So right now, not only have I gotten my residency, I have consulted with, I don't even know how many people, but this year alone, about 25 Black women. I don't know where my men's at, but Black women receive their residency. And so this is more than a passion. It is a movement. It is necessary. We're not here just to tell our story, but to help guide you seamlessly through the process.